Well, it's, been a hot minute, huh? Um, anyway, if you don't know who I am Golden Sign Rod 64, which most of you watching this probably won't, because, like, at the time of recording this, I only have, like, 100 subscribers, which, fair enough. Um, so, if you don't know, at the time of me recording this is unscripted, by the way, um, it has been like 2 years, if I can recall, that I have not been working on videos. I have been working on other personal projects and, well, projects from a certain friend that I would like to keep anonymous for reasons. And, well, I've been very hesitant on trying to do Mario 64 Machinima content for a while now. I might as well get you into this, like, into my headspace, so just hear me out for a minute. So, if I can remember correctly, I did not have a computer. Well, actually, I know this for a fact. I did not have a computer until, like, 3 years ago in August of 2023, at the time I'm recording this. I did not have a computer whatsoever, and as a result, I only had my phone to work with for a while. Then I think I rediscovered SMG4 in 2018, ironically enough, when WotV 2018 came around. I think I remember recording, well, not recording, seeing some of his videos when I was a lot younger. Definitely when I was not a teenager. Yeah, don't know how his videos got recommended, but whatever. Um, so, at some point, I decided I wanted to try and be like SMG4, and there was a major problem with that. I couldn't record anything because, well, I did not know how... Okay, I forgot I did a screenshot there, sorry. Yeah, you can tell this unrecorded, well, unscripted, but whatever. So, around 2020, yes, the dark times. I'm just gonna put up a put up an image. Yes, you know that image. Or 2021, I am not sure. Um, I distinctly remember seeing Blooper Kid 64, who was a mobile machinimist, and surprisingly, he's like 2 years younger than me, surprisingly. And I learned that he somehow made Mario 64 machinima content on his phone. And so I decided, hey, why not try it out? Only to realize when I started working on it that I realized, oh boy, it is not that simple at all. First off, my phone has absolute garbage. Well, it has absolute garbage storage. It does not handle storage very well. Yeah, it was very tough to try and do stuff, and you could tell by my... If you went back to watch my first ever video that I tried making in this format, you can immediately tell how very new it looks. Well, like, still, like, beginner. Like, could not figure out how, on the life of me, to use a green screen, and I eventually did make a second video after learning how green screens worked, but I was going to make a third video at some point, but crap, my computer just turned off. I just turned it back on. So, anyway, phone. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the third episode. I do not remember much about the original concept of the third episode. I think it was something related to Wario and Waluigi or something, but I just could not handle the storage anymore. It was just getting too hard to work on, and at that point I just decided I'm just gonna wait until I end up getting a computer. And yeah, these things are expensive. Yeah, I did not get a computer until like 2 years after I finished my second video. And yeah, I originally, when I started getting my computer, my initial thing was to try and record videos, but let's just say it was very hard to figure out how Project 64 worked, and then I decided I'd just do Gmod stuff in 2024, and that's when I discovered Saturn and my first video returning on computer was going to be actually something that I am going to revisit once I explain this, but it was going to be a New Year's episode that was going to release in 2024, but I was going to use Ouijipie's Gmod map, and yeah, that was probably a good decision to cancel it, because just about a month later, the Ouijipie accusations came out, and yeah. And then I decided I'd just stick with just Saturn stuff completely, and wait, has this stuff even been recording? Hang on. So I just double checked, and yep, it has been recording for the last couple of minutes. Sorry, just CapCut works like that. So, yeah, so let's just get back on topic. So yeah, I decided to go back into the drawing board, and then I saw Mubrick's Watch Your 6 collab, and as someone that is very invested in horror, I wanted to try it out, and it was a good first attempt, I'd say. I tried to give like a subversion of expectation with the Boo character, which I distinctly, if you recall, is Cross. I will explain the plans I had for this character. Don't worry though, I am still going to use him once I finish this recap, but yeah, if you couldn't tell, the Watch Your 6 collab has not come out yet, and I'm pretty sure that I don't think a lot of people really submitted clips or videos for that collab, and considering that it was my first attempt at trying to learn Saturn, yeah, it was at the point that I didn't know that Saturn Studio existed, or at least a point when, or at least it was a time when either Saturn Studio didn't come out yet, or it was being in development, or I just didn't know about it. So afterwards, around October, I don't remember when, but I think I remember after I finished the collab, I wanted to get straight to work on essentially a sort of revival of the original videos, with like a sort of sequel where it was going to be horror themed, and this would have been Cross's canonical debut, along with another character that has appeared in the banner of the channel but has been shrouded in mystery, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to use him if I have plans for him, but unlike Cross, I am not sure if I'm going to use him in this, well, in the plans that I have for the channel in the future, so yeah, let's just, it was going to be something around Big Boo's Haunt. I think I remember I posted a, I think I remember making a thumbnail for it, and I'll pull up the picture of what the thumbnail was going to be like, and those cryptic community posts were hinting towards that episode in particular. I'm also going to be pulling those up now, and this episode was actually going to be pretty ambitious because I originally had plans where it was essentially going to work like the interactive Mario simulator, where there were going to be two endings, and whichever one either got the most views or the most likes, I don't remember exactly. It was going to bring you to some unlisted ending, and the one that got the most views or the most likes, or an in-between, I'm not sure, it would have, at some point, that the original version of that video would have been unlisted, and the one that was overall more popular was going to be the canon ending. And it was going to go into like an ever expanding storyline that was going to essentially be a sort of like, it was going to tell you what would have happened in the timeline in the video afterwards if you did choose if the other ending went canon. Yeah, it was ambitious for this time. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to that format, but it was certainly ambitious for its time, I will admit that, but I do not think it works well right now, because I think at the time I still am not very good at writing, and I have also been in a bit of a weird place for the past 2 years. I was originally trying to get into cybersecurity, but I very quickly realized that that thing was not for me. Well, it took like a couple of months to realize, and now I have some debts I need to owe. But regardless, I was pretty burnt out, and I was helping a new friend that I made around last year to help with his own personal project that I will keep ambiguous because I do not want to name this project. And, well, I have been it kind of put my machinima stuff in the backseat for a little while. I wasn't sure if I was even going to return to it, especially after some falling outs with some old friends due to certain, let's just say, I think it was a misinterpretation or something. I think I remember what it was, but yeah, it took me to the point where I just didn't know if I wanted to make Mario 64 machinima stuff for a while. And then, on top of that, as if things didn't get any worse, on Halloween of 2025, yes, October 31st, my computer's Wi-Fi suddenly just stopped working. My computer is a special kind of laptop, and it also had some cracking issues. Well, some issues with its casing, so it took until last month actually for my stepdad to actually fix that, so props to my dad for fixing that, because he is he is very talented at that kind of stuff, so yeah, and it was around this point where, a couple of days ago, I've actually decided I am going to try and give this machinima stuff a second shot. Now, I am going to say a couple of things right now. The first two videos that I have ever made, specifically the ones that I made on my phone, those are going to be unlisted, and they are no longer canon into the timeline. I do not like how little work I have put into them, and to be honest, I could have done things a lot better. Now, here's my thought process for what I want to do for my series as a whole. Oh wait, yeah, I should also explain another reason why I decided to go back into machinima making. If you didn't already know, SMG4 was one of my main inspirations, if you couldn't tell from how I got into the community in the first place, and it made me incredibly surprised and sad that Luke decided to retire from the series. I completely agree that that his last year of making episodes were starting to get a little bit stale, and I think it was probably for the best that, yeah, it was probably best that he did end up stopping the series there. So, I think that's another reason why I want to start making these types of videos again, because I want to sort of, well, not complete, I want to do my own thing, but not make it sort of like an SMG4 copycat like I was trying to do for the first two episodes. So, here's my thing on the plans for the series going forward. I am going to make this a sort of comedy horror style. I do not know how I'm going to pull that off, but I am going to try and do that. I have always been invested in horror, but I still want there to be funny parts. The problem is I am not very good at writing. The first two episodes were unscripted and were purely just me goofing off. The third video was intentionally going to be scripted, but I did not find a flow of the story that I wanted to make. So here's the thing. I do not know what I'm going to... I do have a sort of plan for the first episode. I will say this, Cross will come back, and he is going to have a much different role than I originally intended. He is going to have a different backstory than I originally intended. And that Drybones character that you see in the banner, Volcorn, which is a font I wanted to make like a Sansa Papyrus reference. I am not putting the music up because that crap is copyrighted, and I do not want that to happen to my channel. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use him, but I can say without a doubt that my evil doppelganger, which was going to be my brother, well, I do have a brother in real life, but I can't say, well, fictional brother in this universe, and I'll say LS46 or Lime Silver Rod 46 is not going to appear in the rebooted timeline. I simply just wanted to make, like, he just represents, like, a part of the timeline, a part of a thing that I just want to move away from. And my brother is obviously not named that, and I honestly don't want my brother to actually be involved with the series, so I just want to make this, like, my whole entire universe where it's just going to be, like, its own separate thing. So, yeah, I'll do that. I will admit, I have been trying to start getting better, but here's some things I want to try to do into the future. One, I want to learn how to make custom models. See, the reason is, recently I have it turns out that my color code is, surprisingly, very similar to a lot of people's color codes. And I was debating on changing my name, but I have decided that I do want to keep the color code because I simply just like it, even if I don't necessarily like blue that much, but I just wanted something that rolled off the tongue while it was also a Pokemon reference, so I do have an idea for what I want to do with a potential redesign. Now, it's not going to be that drastic like SMG4's redesign was. I don't want to go down that route, but I don't want it to be a plumber in overalls either. I have an idea for what I want to do with it. The reason I have been wanting to do so, but I can't necessarily do it, is because I do not know how to use Blender or how to import models into Saturn. I'll be completely honest there. Yeah, that's definitely a reason. I do have, but I definitely want to try and make my own custom model at some point. I still want it to resemble Mario, at least somewhat, because I feel like a lot of people criticize SMG4's design for, well, obviously being completely different, and I'm gonna be honest, yeah, the Cocomelon allegations he's definitely looked like a Cocomelon character, so yeah, yeah, I don't want to fall down that same route. I will admit, I have seen some people that have made custom models that are certainly unique, like, what was Adami, I guess? That was his name? I think he's done an excellent job, and I think another reason why I wanted to come back is because, well, some of these YouTubers have made their models official. Obviously, not all of them. Especially a certain one that is definitely controversial. Well, not controversial in the sake of, like, being a controversial character itself, just, like, well, potentially getting into consequences because of, well, yeah, I'm not going to mention that further. I do want to make more original characters in the future, but I want them to be based on Mario characters specifically, because I feel like a lot of people that criticize modern SMG4 definitely have their opinions justified, because, well, a lot of people seem to criticize the fact that Meggy and Psycho and a lot of these characters, they didn't really feel like Mario characters whatsoever. They just felt like random inclusions, and I can definitely agree with that. But I do want to make original characters somewhat, but I want them to be based off the Mario enemies. And I want them to have unique characteristics from enemies, but at least be recognizable as, like, hey, that's a retextured, that's kind of like a Boo with a top hat and bow tie and is kind of crystallized or something like that, like crosses and full corns, you know, whole thing going on. Yeah, I want to continue doing that into the future. In fact, I actually have an idea for what I want the main antagonist of the series is going to be. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's definitely going to be horror-related. Somewhat. And I'm not going to say what this character looks like, but I don't want to get your expectations too high, so I'm also going to need to learn how to get better at script writing, because, let's be honest, I am bad at that. I said that a bunch of times, but I'm going to reiterate it again. I am bad at script writing. And obviously, I am not going to be working on videos full-time. I do plan on getting an actual job in the future. The YouTube channel is more so like my... sort of like my passion project, I guess I could say. So I'm just gonna bring that. So to reiterate, I am going to return at some point. I have an idea for the first version of the first episode, and I have an idea for how that's going to turn out. It's going to be somewhat of a rehash of what I was originally intending that 2024 year special was going to be, but I am going to change a lot of stuff about how I'm going to write that personally, because I'm not sure if it's going to be scripted, I'm not sure if it's going to be unscripted, but either way, I've got a lot of things that I am preparing to try and do. So if any of you can help me in learning how to make my own custom model, or at least teach me how to do so, let me know in the comments, and yeah, I'll try to make a proper intro and outro in the future. Obviously, all that stuff, but it's going to take a long time. I will say this, the new custom model isn't going to be the first thing that you see of my original, of like, my main character, obviously, but yeah, that's pretty much about it. The recolor is going to be the first thing that you see. Anyway, I am running out of footage, so, I will see you when I get there. Goodbye, everyone.